This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 129, The Accidental Side Hustle That Earned Me $1,185 in 6 weeks, by Nick Loper of SideHustleNation.com. And I'm Dan, I'm your host here, and welcome back to Optimal Startup Daily, where I read to you from some of the best blogs on entrepreneurship each and every day. And we're going to get right to it today with our post from Nick, so let's optimize your life. The Accidental Side Hustle That Earned Me $1,185 in 6 weeks, by Nick Loper of SideHustleNation.com. Some side hustles you relentlessly pursue, trying day after day to make something happen. Others sometimes just find you. This was the case of being in the right place at the right time and the opportunity finding me. I won't chalk it up entirely to luck, though, because this side hustle was actually the result of a couple of years of building trust. Let me explain. Quote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Seneca. Lately, I've been playing HR manager and recruiter for a web development company on the East Coast. I'm working on a performance basis, an idea I love, finding talented workers in the Philippines. The Accidental Side Hustle. It started with a one-line email seemingly out of the blue. "Are you available for hire? I'm looking for an outsourcing consultant." Pretty random, right? Well, maybe not so much. For the last 2+ years, I've been running a site related to small business outsourcing, establishing myself as somewhat of an authority on the topic. Still, I had no consulting experience to speak of, nor was this service mentioned anywhere on my website. So, of course, I replied, "I'd love to be your outsourcing consultant. What did you have in mind?" And with that, I had a new consulting side hustle. It turned out my new client's business was growing rapidly, and he needed to ramp up his staff in a hurry, but didn't have time to deal with a lengthy recruiting and interview process. We focused on finding technically skilled workers in the Philippines because it's a sweet spot for English education, a talented workforce, and attractive wages. We agreed on a rate of $395 per hire, only because that's what one other established company was charging for a similar service, except they take their fee up front, and I'd only get paid if I found someone good enough to get hired. Due to the 15-hour time difference, I worked some odd hours doing Skype interview calls with the Philippines. Over the next 6 weeks, I found 3 suitable candidates out of a pool of well over 100, which resulted in a nice $1,185 in side hustle income. It was an awesome learning experience, too. But let's back it up to how this gig came about, because that's a far more interesting story. A social media connection. Long before my client was a client, we began following each other on Twitter. I believe he'd tweeted something about small business outsourcing, so I decided to start following him, and he followed back. That was 8 months before the out-of-the-blue email I talked about. An email connection. Around that same time, my client-to-be signed up for my email list. In between the initial sign-up and his eventual proactive contact, I sent 17 emails over the course of the 8 months. These messages primarily contained free outsourcing resources, tips, tricks, and best practices, both from my personal experience and from around the web. In other words, I was delivering relevant and valuable content to his inbox on a pretty regular and consistent basis. And after 17 times, there's a certain level of recognition, familiarity, and trust. How many others on my email list might be interested in a similar service? It stands to reason if one person was having difficulty recruiting, others might be struggling with the same problems. Personal support. A couple times at the very beginning of the relationship, and then again right before the consulting email, my not yet a client reached out for some advice via email, which I was happy to provide free of charge. No sales pitch required. In the end, I didn't have to sell anything because the relationship, trust, and value had already been established over a long period of time. He proactively contacted me about a service I didn't even offer or have advertised. Isn't that an awesome way to get business? Such a sharp contrast to cold calling for paint job leads. Know, like, trust. This side hustle is testament to a long-term outlook and is proof the know, like, trust sales funnel works. Side note, I was curious where the know, like, trust language came from and traced it back to a Bob Burg quote from Endless Referrals. Quote, "All things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust." End quote. Mr. Berg, by the way, also co-authored The Go-Giver, one of my favorite business books of all time. Saying yes. It's also a great example of how good things can come from saying yes to new opportunities, even if you have no idea what comes next. Conventional wisdom is to shelter yourself by saying no. No to new obligations, no to new time-sucking projects, no to new ideas that probably won't go anywhere. But no great side hustle was ever built by saying no. Sure, there's some level of selection you have to exercise, but you can open yourself up to new challenges, opportunities, and businesses with a well-placed yes. No is the easy way out. Yes is scarier, but more fulfilling too. Behind every side hustle success story is a yes. My path is sprinkled with them. Many didn't go anywhere, but you never know until you try, right? You just listened to the post titled, "The Accidental Side Hustle That Earned Me $1,185 in 6 Weeks" by Nick Loper of SideHustleNation.com. And a big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's episode. Get creative and learn some new skills this new year. Explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/OSD and get a free trial of premium membership. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. There are so many topics to explore, including music production, web development, creative writing, and more. Fun fact, I love collecting fountain pens, and I've always wondered how I can use them in other ways. Well, I stumbled upon this Skillshare class called A Comprehensive Guide to Hand Lettering, Creating Graphic and Script Styles. Hand lettering is a fascinating skill to learn, and it's especially great when you're adding a personal touch to your gifts. I also can't believe how many resources I'm able to get access to with just $10 a month through Skillshare's annual subscription. So if you're an entrepreneur, this is perfect for you. There are so many different skills to apply directly to your business. Join me and explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/OSD and get a free trial of premium membership. That's 2 weeks free at Skillshare.com/OSD. And I want to give a big thank you to Nick, who used to work full-time for a giant corporation, but built his business during nights and weekends. He's also the host of the podcast, The Side Hustle Show. It's for part-time entrepreneurs looking for actionable tips to start or improve their businesses. It's a great podcast, and it's usually in the top charts of business in Apple Podcasts. Definitely worth checking out. And the blog is great too, of course. So swing by SideHustleNation.com for a lot more. But that'll do it for today. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. If you're listening in real time, I, of course, thank you for being here as always. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for the Sunday show. That's where your optimal life awaits.